Hello everybody and welcome to Car Confections. Now today is the day that we can finally show you what this Cadillac LYRIQ-V is like behind the wheel. We cannot wait to show you the performance of this model. It might blow your mind. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now in this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading. But first, we want to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration because that, of course, is a very important part of this V model. Whew.
And that was a quick run up to a little above 60 miles per hour in the LYRIQ-V. So when it comes to this model, of course, what you're really wanting is increased performance, and you definitely are getting that with this model. Compared to the standard all-wheel drive version, we have an additional 100 horsepower on board. So you're looking at 615 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque.
And as you can see from that acceleration, that is definitely fast enough to slam you back in your seat, really give you that exceptional level of performance. It's definitely enough to give you that big smile on your face, that's for sure.
Might be enough to leave him speechless. And later on in this video, we're going to show you guys the launch control, kind of in a more controlled setting. Obviously, we're out here on the streets near Seattle. But, you know, this is definitely going to be more than enough performance for your day-to-day life. And we'll see throughout this review, though, how it balances that with the everyday livability.
Now, Cadillac says this vehicle is capable of going to 60 miles an hour in 3.3 seconds, which does indeed mean this is the fastest Cadillac they've ever made. That's quite the claim, that's for sure, but certainly a lot of performance with this model. Now, compared to the regular versions of the LYRIQ, Drew was kind of mentioning that, but it has over 100 more horsepower. That's because the all-wheel drive version has about 515 horsepower. The rear drive version comes in at 365 horsepower, so this is the top model in the LYRIQ lineup. And we'll talk about how that affects range, but all the LYRIQs will have a 102 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack, so regardless of what model you select, you will have the same battery pack size. Now, as far as how power is routed to the ground, you do have standard dual motor all-wheel drive. The availability of rear drive is with the base LYRIQ model. And let's go ahead and quickly hit your range figure as well. So like I was just saying, this will be the lowest range model. That's because this is the most powerful version and they all get that same battery pack size. So we're sitting at 285 miles on a single charge for this V model. That's regardless of if you choose the summer performance tires or the all-season tires, though, so keep that in mind. If you want the maximum range, that would be had with the rear drive version, the standard model. 326 miles is the maximum range you can get on the LYRIQ. And now that we're just kind of cruising down the highway here, I want to take a second to discuss overall ride quality with the LYRIQ-V. I'm sure a lot of you guys are very curious about that because the LYRIQ is a, luxurious vehicle. Even though this is the V model, it still needs to be a good luxury SUV, and going over big bridge abutments like that really highlights how good this vehicle rides. I've been very impressed with it. We've been driving around here in the Seattle area all day long today, and it really does a great job of soaking up the bumps, regardless of the fact that we have the 22-inch alloy wheels on the outside. One thing worth pointing out about the suspension is that the LYRIQ-V is the only one to get the adaptive dampers. So that, of course, means, when you're cruising down the highway like this is going to be a nice and smooth riding vehicle. I really don't think it feels all that different from the regular LYRIQ model, but we'll see how the performance changes when you put it into the sport mode. And let's go ahead and get our sound level reading, going 55 miles per hour. We found a pretty smooth piece of pavement here. We have it on fan speed 1, and let's see how quiet it is. Now, before our slalom there, we were sitting at 53 decibels as our sound level reading. Now, we don't have to sit here and guess how this compares to other electric vehicles and other versions of the LYRIQ. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. Now, as far as how that compares, that is going to be a very good sound level reading. That's something the LYRIQ has always been very good at, and that's going to continue for the V model. The LYRIQ is actually the second quietest electric vehicle we've ever tested. I don't see that really changing much for the LYRIQ-V model. I'd say mainly that sound level difference is the fact that we're here in Washington State as compared to our home roads of Kentucky, so we will hopefully be getting one of these back home in Kentucky to get you that official sound level reading, but just know you will have a very quiet cabin.
Now, as we were just talking about with the sound level reading, we're in Washington. We're kind of in the Tacoma area outside of Seattle. Unfamiliar area, to say the least. So we don't exactly have the best roads here in mind, what we've hit so far to demonstrate the dynamics of this vehicle. But rest assured, as I was mentioning earlier, we did get some extensive time behind the wheel in more of a controlled setting to really push the limits of this vehicle and demonstrate that. So we want to go ahead and show you guys some of that footage. We certainly, just to kind of comment on it before we get into that footage, we're pretty impressed by this model. The adaptive dampers firm up nicely. This is obviously a heavy electric vehicle, but it controls the mass quite well. And I think the thing that really impressed both of us a lot was that the character of this is actually a little bit more fun than what you get out of the Blazer EV. So they do share the same platform, the Blazer EV SS, I should say. They share the same platform, but this one can get a little bit more tail happy when you crank everything up to the maximum degree. It really is quite a lot of fun and helps you get around those corners really nicely.
All right, guys, so here we are about to do a 0 to 60 in the launch mode. Basically, in order to do this, all you have to do is press the V button, stomp on the brake, stomp on the gas. That is and there you go. You have your 0 to 60 time right there in the gauge cluster. 3.1 seconds is what we got. Wow.
So yeah, Cadillac was saying 3.3 seconds was the rating on this. We just did better.
I think we did a little faster.
So that's super cool.
That certainly is a very quick acceleration. We're going to do it one more time so you can get a good look at all of the performance of this vehicle. You know, really in a closed course like this is where you can best demonstrate this rather than out on the road.
All right, here we go again. Press all the way down on the brake, floor it, release.
3.2, a little slower that time. That's still really, really fast,
this is
guys.
Really fast. Yeah, that's the thing with this model is just that, you know, it's very everyday livable, but, you know, you can do something like that, really have some fun, and get some serious speed.
Well, guys, here we are at the autocross track that they have set up for us. Of course, this is going to demonstrate some of the agility elements with the LYRIQ-V. This is a vehicle that they said they didn't just make fast, but also they increased, you know, the suspension and really beefed all the elements up so that it can handle stuff like this really well. So that's what we're going to see demonstrated here today.
So, of course, when it comes to an autocross, you know, you're looking at kind of the more technical aspect of the performance. You know, they're set up to be relatively tight, and like Mason was introducing there, to show some agility. Hopefully we'll demonstrate some of that, although I don't anticipate most LYRIQ-V owners will be autocrossing too often, but you can do it if you want to.
Yeah, and for this, we're going to be in the V mode. That's, of course, going to amp everything up to the maximum degree.
So we're going to swing through this long sweeper here. Nice balance. Taking a tighter corner. One of the things that you notice is that Cadillac allows the back to kind of slide out just a little bit, helping you
get around those corners.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Definitely like that. Obviously, this is a big vehicle, but I think it handles its mass pretty well.
Yeah, I have to say I'm very surprised You know, the LYRIQ is one of those vehicles we've lived with for a full week. It's a very luxurious SUV, and to have that level of performance to handle that autocross like that, I'd say I'm very, very impressed. Yes, so you just saw that was a lot of fun using the launch mode as well as on the autocross area that they had set up for us. That certainly kind of demonstrates what this vehicle is fully capable of. Now, I do want to point out your charging. So, like I said, it has 285 miles of range on this. And as far as the charging is concerned, you do not have the latest and greatest NACS, North American Charging Standard charger. So that is something to keep in mind. You can buy an adapter from them, but it is going to have the CCS charger for now. As far as the charging speeds, it can go up to 11.5 kilowatts with the standard charge module. If you get the V Premium version, that actually ups that to 19.2 kilowatts as your maximum speed. And they say that that does mean that it can charge from a low state to 80% in about 45 minutes. So that's pretty good. It's not the fastest charging EV out there, but it is going to be a pretty good charging EV, that's to say the least. All right, let's get into our slam dunk and airball, which is our favorite and least favorite element about the LYRIQ-V. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the slam dunk?
We're going to say the slam dunk today is the balance between performance and everyday livability. Even when you're in like the maximum VMAX mode, you can still drive this really in a remarkably comfortable and luxurious way that is definitely very similar to what you get in the regular LYRIQ, a vehicle that we praised for having great luxury experience. But you've seen demonstrated throughout. When you're ready to push this, it has a legitimate performance gain. So I think that's got to be the slam dunk because you really gain the performance without losing the luxury factor.
Yeah, absolutely. Now on the flip side, what we're going to say is the airball is the range, especially for the price of this LYRIQ-V. So this is not a cheap vehicle. If you watched the first part of our video, the LYRIQ-V can go into the $90,000 price point if you select all the options on this model. And 285 miles of range, yes, it's not horrible for a performance EV. However, I think that people are just really starting to expect a lot more range in their EV products, especially if you're paying $90,000 or so for a luxury electric vehicle. I think you really want to have over 300 miles of range, and you're not going to get that here on this model. And guys, that's going to wrap up part 2 of our Cadillac LYRIQ review. This, of course, was the part that was focused on the dynamics, the driving experience of this LYRIQ-V. But if you want to learn all about this model on the outside, the inside, all the features that you can get, the pricing, all of that stuff, you can find that already live on our channel in part 1 of this LYRIQ-V. So be sure to do yourself a favor and go find that video as well. If you're looking to buy a Cadillac LYRIQ-V or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to Confections.com/new car quotes to get the best price. You're also going to get access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. So definitely do yourself a favor, go to that tool on our website. You can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. And of course, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. If you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. And if you're not already, we'd love to welcome you in to be a part of our Car Confections family. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.